Welcome to the Stampscapes Spooky Lab. We have a piece of quarter page, fairly dark purple, violet, pre-folded matte cardstock here, okay? Pre-folded, meaning there's already a crease right down there. This is the outer side, and I'm going to be doing the front and back. I've already pre-applied some white pigment ink on here just to expedite this process. I wanted this to be a really fast card. And I'm going to be applying one of the large glow-in-the-dark printable vinyl sticker paper moons right here that I've stamped out onto my purple glow-in-the-dark vinyl cardstock. Okay, it has to be a printable type if you're going to use water-based inks on it. But if you get the glow-in-the-dark vinyl non-printable, you can use like a StazOn on that type of paper. And then you just cut out your moons. So I'm set for a while with these ones, but I thought this could be a pretty dramatic scene right here, potentially. I'm going to do this kind of, I don't know, this Ophelia type of thing going on right here. Just kind of a lady kind of, I don't know, in the lake here under the moonlight. And we'll use some of the other little creatures from the Halloween sets on this one. So hopefully we'll make it nice and, I don't know, kind of moody and atmospheric. I don't know if it'll be creepy or not, but that's the general idea of it. Okay, I'm going to be using the Bayou set right here, I think, for my imagery. I thought that would make a nice kind of collection of images for this piece. And let's see how that goes. So this is a pretty small piece, and I have this really large, dramatic moon in here, so I don't have a lot of space in here. So it's, I don't know, it's just, we'll be forced to keep it fairly simple, just in terms of the amount of things we can do on here. There's just not a huge amount of space on here to be applying a lot of different images. I mean, there's still, it's still wide open as far as what we can do if we're thinking about using any stamps. But, if we're thinking about this set here, there's, we'll have our limitations because we're working around certain types of imagery and the scale of them in general. Hello, Linda. Oh, that's right. Happy Thanksgiving to you and anyone in Canada. Hopefully this will be a nice, uneventful live stream here. Hope you had a great day there, Linda. All right. Little cypress tree right there. Yeah, let me keep that there because I'm going to put another one right here to flank it. I've re-inked my Brilliance ink right here, so I figured the Brilliance ink is going to be a lot thicker, or a little thicker at least, than the hybrid ink, which is partial pigment ink. So let's see, we're on this one right here. I'm going to be stamping right over that ridge on the fold, so hopefully I can get a pretty decent impression of it. Before I started this off, though, I took my fingernail and I just kind of ran it along that ridge to hopefully flatten it out a little bit more. Not too bad. I have a little bit of a crease down there, but I can fill that in with some colored pencil or something like that. Lots of food left over. As they say, that's always the best part. And lots of good food too. What did you eat? All right, let's go down here like this and make the backside of the card. Try to make the backside of the card somewhat interesting as well. Standing up a little bit to get a little bit more leverage on the stamp for a nice dark impression. On this kind of a matte cardstock, if you guys ever try this out where you're applying that base layer of white pigment ink, and then you're stamping over that. So not only is this a very absorbent style of paper in the matte, it's texturized too a little bit. Be sure and have a lot of ink on your ink pads to give yourself the the darkest impressions possible. I don't always do that, It's like, I should have inked up a little bit more. Okay, let's get in some additional background imagery. Let's see here. That moon really takes up a lot of space in there, so go like this, I think. Cypress cluster here. Now on this one right here, it's going to represent something in the background. I'll go for a darker impression of it, but if this one stamps out a little bit lighter, I don't mind that, because if it's lighter, it'll look more distant. Hello, Debbie. How are you? Yeah, I got those clouds down really fast. That whole background only took me about, I don't know, maybe 5 minutes or so. I was kind of haphazard with it too, because I figured a lot of it is going to be covered up, but I just wanted to get that background established a little bit before starting this video. Okay, let's transition this. Okay, now this one's in the background, so I don't need it really dark. So I'm going to wipe off this base area right in here in the shadows, the reflections down there. And I'm going to take some ink off from right here, the water line, and up a little bit. And I'll take off a decent amount right down in this area, okay? And this one is going to go behind this cypress tree right here. And let me take off a little bit more off this reflection. I don't want that reflection to be going like way, beyond the base of this cypress tree. Okay. And again, I also don't want the horizon line too far up here, because, we're saying that the moon is right there, and that moon has to fit in its entirety in this scene. I guess you don't have to. I guess you can cut it off right here and have it coming in from up there. I guess that would look okay too, but I think let's keep it the full moon here. Turkey, roast squash, carrots, sweet potatoes, and sweet potato and Brussels sprouts, stuffed mushrooms, and mashed cauliflower with cheese. Pumpkin pie. Boy, you guys went all out. It's like some of these things, it's like you usually have like one or the other, but you had like all of it. That sounds pretty good. Linda has invited everyone in this live stream over to her place for, well, she got the menu right there. Let me see if I can fit a few of these onto this area right in here. That looks pretty good. See, it's nice and kind of diffused down here. So it kind of all like diffuses right down there. You can barely see that right in there. So it's almost like a ghost image of it. All right, let's see. I inked up this side, so we'll try to get a little tiny bit of it right in here, just for a little bit of added depth. I mean, I kind of want to have something underneath that moon to represent kind of more distant foliage, but let's see how it goes. If I have to have some of these things like behind the moon, then, I don't know, so be it. This is stamping, so you do whatever you want. Or just, we live with things that just come out, be it intentional or unintentional. All right, let me see if I can get a couple more of these right over here then, okay? Which means I'll ink up, let me see, this side. Yeah. Gotta be careful here because like I said, I really inked this up before I started my ink pad here. Okay. I haven't eaten yet, so that reading that list made me kind of hungry. I might have to stop this live stream early. Just joking. That's why I kind of started this. Oops, I stamped that a little bit lower. It's in the foreground then. That's a good way to get in some foreground, I guess, in front of that one. I stamped it a little bit lower. I don't know. I guess I didn't mask off right down there. But it looks pretty good because I got something into that space right there. So, I don't know. New technique right there. All right, so we have some other imagery, kind of foundational imagery that we'll stamp in here later. But let's get our figures in there. This scene's going by pretty fast here. Hello, Cynthia, Cecile, Buddy, good to see you. Yeah, did everyone read that list up there, Linda's? And like I was saying, if you just logged in, that's a list for anyone that wants to go and eat at her place. She's placed an open invitation. All right, let's get this gal, this reclining figure here. I'm going to put her in the water, kind of like an Ophelia type of thing. I thought that would be kind of funky looking, you know. Kind of a partial submersion. I'm not going to put that kind of platform that she's on here. And I might be, well, I think I am going to. I'm going to do this right here. I don't know if I'll need to. I don't know. I might not need to. I don't know. Let me see. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I'll just use the straight edge right here. I'm going to put her about like so. I want to stamp out her whole body, but maybe it'd be better if I go at like, I cut a portion of her off, you know, like she's, you know, like submerged a little bit more. Let's do that. Let's go for a little bit more. More of a percentage in the water. It's the Hamlet of the bayou here. With Ophelia in there, like that. All right. Ooh, that looks pretty eerie. First time I've ever stamped her, whatever, in water. Or represented in water. All right, let's see here. It's too bad that there weren't some pigment inks that were like whitish, but were glow in the dark. I don't know, something to bring up with Sukaneko. We need a glow in the dark pigment ink. We need glow in the dark maybe stays on. I don't know about VersaFine Clair, maybe not a VersaFine Clair, but I don't know. Wouldn't those be kind of cool? All right. Let's see. I don't know if I'll put in the Spanish moss. Man, maybe that. I'll take a look at it later here. Hello, Vintage Scrap Girl. It was finally under 100 degrees. Wow. Okay, so you were looking. You were like at 3 digits this past week even. That's quite a bit hotter than down south here. Yeah, that glow-in-the-dark, huh? Because it'd be kind of nice if we had a little bit of a glow-in-the-dark tinge, like, in this area. I was thinking, I'd probably put down the white, but then I would put, like, a little bit of the glow-in-the-dark over the top of the white. You know what I mean? Up here or something. I guess they had that. I mean, for stuff like that, there's those like bioluminescent, what is it, plankton, things like that. That would be really cool to be able to do for like ocean scenes and things like that. I would love that. All right, let's get some other critters in here. I've been wanting to do my frogs in here again. Frog heads. These things crack me up. So this is going to be like one scene right here, okay? Because it's the front of the card. And this is the back of the card over here. But, of course, you want them to work in whatever tandem with each other in terms of a 2-page spread. But I think the back one is going to have a little bit of a different character to it just because, the critters in it. Well, maybe we can illuminate the eyes or something like that. Yeah, that's where... Now, okay, so there is a glow-in-the-dark paint pen, so I can go in and do, like, glow-in-the-dark, like, eyeballs in there. I guess that'd be pretty cool. Linda, were you the one that had that glow-in-the-dark paint pen, or was it someone else? Someone else mentioned that they had that. With an anglerfish. Yeah, those anglerfish are really cool. I have an anglerfish rubber stamp from Gumbo Graphics, I think. It was, yeah. Gumbo Graphics. All right. There we go. Some frogs in there like so. I thought about doing like some sort of skeleton in there too. I don't know. I thought about doing like some tombstones in here too. Like, you know what I mean? Like a flooded cemetery type of scenario. I guess we could still. But yeah, we'll figure this one out here. I don't know if I want to put another character right around her, because I might want to kind of emphasize just the figure in here. We'll see how it goes. All right, these are some lilies right here. So if anyone was on that Friday Night Live, towards the end, there was this big bang outside, and that was there was this kid in this Honda Odyssey, which is a van. He hit this other gigantic SUV and pushed it like 10 feet into another car that was in front of them. The kid flipped the van, and it was completely rolled over. It was on its rooftop, and I thought it was just someone just hit a parked car, and that was that, because when I looked outside, this other car was there, and he was backing up, and it was this Tesla. I thought, oh, it was them. But no, they were driving behind that other kid. Kid's 16 years old. This area's a 25-mile-an-hour speed limit, and I don't know what happened, looking at his phone or something. He said he got tired. Or when his dad finally showed up, we were trying to get hold of his parents, and they weren't answering their phone, so we got his address from him. And I told someone to go down the street, to knock on their door to go get them, because we were waiting around forever. They were calling like 3 times. I just said, someone just go get them. Go get the parents, go to the door. So someone did, and I don't know, the dad came over, and I don't know, all these different services were out, adding in some bats here. And dad said the kid told him that he was really tired. I don't know. There weren't any skid marks, so he didn't try to stop at all. So he could have fallen asleep, I guess. I was a little dubious of that kind of excuse, because the kid he was probably driving from some like the local high school or, in the community here, not driving from 20 miles away or something like that, But the kid had his PSAT test yesterday, which was the day after the crash, and that, morning after the crash. PSAT is the pre-SAT, college entrance, type of test. So maybe he was cramming like, for the past 2 weeks and, was exhausted or something like that. So I can, I guess I could see that. But, you know, not something you really want to hear kind of like right outside of the window here. But it was, I think that was the fifth totaled car since we've lived on this street. The street's kind of a little bit extra wide, and there's only like houses on one side of the street, so people come, and then we're at the base of this kind of long kind of hill. So people just come down this street, careening down it, 45, 50 miles an hour regularly. And it's usually just cars kind of coming down it and side, rear ending or side swiping other parked cars. But this one was the worst of it that I've seen. All right, a little bit of foreground here with some cypress knees, they call them. Those little things kind of sticking out of the water, around those cypress trees. But I didn't hear that. I was editing my video just because I really like this scene right here from the other night. Oh, by the way, I added in those highlights on the distant tombstones as well. I thought that added like a nice little touch to them, because otherwise you can't really see them very well. So a nice kind of illumination to those stones. And I added a little bit more highlighting on a couple of these. It was real subtle before, so I added a little bit of a stronger illumination to it. But anyways, yeah, I was kind of thinking, Linda's told me that, on the live stream, she told me that she can hear it. And then in the chat when I asked, and then, yeah, I was like, oh my God, that's really, really, whatever, noticeable in that, in the recording. Be safe out there. But I was just telling my son, who's he's got his driving permit, but I was telling him, one of the kind of the hairiest parts of driving around here, his driving is just pulling out of our driveway, and it's like a couple days later, it's like boom, someone's driving down way faster than they should, as it's always happening around here. All right. These are kind of interesting in here, those cypress knees. They give it kind of an ominous look to it. They're all pointy, kind of like a, not like a friendly terrain in there, All right. So we got all these cypress knees in here. I'm going to put in like that shark fin right there. It'll just kind of blend in, people won't really think about it, but I think it's pretty funny. A chrome pen would be good for reflective eyes. Oh, that's a good idea too. What's the closest thing we have to chrome? We have silver, I guess. That might work. I have a glow-in-the-dark paint pen. Yeah. So the glow-in-the-dark paint pen, is the glow-in-the-dark paint, is that real opaque, Linda, or is it kind of, really translucent? Like if you wanted to illuminate some of these eyes of these like frogs in here, would you lay down the white first or something like that and then put the glow-in-the-dark over the top of that? Or would you just go in straight with the glow-in-the-dark? The glow-in-the-dark's probably, in my mind, I'm imagining it as something a little bit waterier than paint, but yeah. All right, so there's your moon right there. So again, the moon's a lot lighter, so we need to bring in some different highlights and things like that and some additional white in here. Now, it doesn't have to match that, but we need to get some of these kind of darker areas that are supposed to be illuminated a little bit closer to that one, so it's more representative of reflective light. It's like all this right in here right now. It doesn't seem like it's related to the light that's illuminating that. This is supposed to be like mist down here, okay? So, we just go into it with some additional white pigment ink, or we can use like a pastel pencil here. So on some of these clouds, in the clouds, that are going to be kind of closer to that moon, you can add in some additional lighting into them. And I'm going to use my pastel pencil just because I can get really a lot more specific with this pastel pencil. You can kind of like blend things out too really nicely or easily. This is a dry pastel too. It's not a, oil pastel. But I don't know. Yeah, if you know of any other techniques, that might work, go ahead and, certainly employ them. But you can see that where that lighting in there, you know what I mean? It's a little bit closer to this light right here. Okay. On some of these moons right here, now that I think about it, maybe on some of these or a couple of these, I'll dab in a little bit of like black pigment ink over the top of them really lightly just to diffuse it a little bit. So I'll have some darker moons too, like moodier ones, you know what I mean, where it's not so bright. And that might be pretty interesting too to work with. Okay, so you can see that like I don't know, it's like a silver lined, cloud or something like this. I'm going to move it around a little bit just to kind of blend it in a touch. And this is a soft lighting because, pastel applications are fairly soft. They're, it's like chalk, So we'll try to pair our soft lighting applications with some crisp ones, and that should kind of balance things off from a textural standpoint. Don't park on the street. It's always the cars on the other side of the street. That's where they're always getting nailed. Although my next door neighbor next to us was on our side of the street, where the houses are, and her car got, plowed into and destroyed from this car that came down a hill. And there's a little bit of a gentle arcing turn, but she didn't turn at all and just went straight beeline into their car. And that car got pushed like, I don't know, 12 feet from our next door neighbor's house, like in front of our house. So when we went out there, our neighbor wasn't out there. So we go to their front door and say, hey, your car got hit. This person just ran into your car. She said, oh, no, that's not our car. We didn't park over there. Well, it's going to be your car got pushed like 12 feet, like in front of our house. She thought it was like, someone parking in front of our house. All right, so see that. So we're bringing those characters to a little bit closer to that lightness right there. We need a glow-in-the-dark pastel pencil too now. You do one of those things where it's like, if there's like a light source, how there's that lighting coming across the water. You know, it's that like little band of light like that. That's what I'm doing right here. So I'm trying to make this little area in here kind of lighter. So I'm going from the center out like this, okay? Now these things are going to be casting shadows, so I don't want to, you know, I don't want to put that highlighting right here, so I'm giving this a little bit of a space for the shadow to, you know, for this thing to be casting a shadow. So I'll start that lighting, you know, right down in here again. So you go from the inside out like that, you know, to give it that kind of a, whatever, transitioning stroke like that. So this is the lighting from in to out, and you do it from this way like that, and from right here you go like that, okay? I'm saying, say, you know, if this is the light, I'm just going to do it in black right here. So this is the, like the moon, and here's the water right here. You want to take this stroke like that way, and then like that way, like that. So you get this kind of this transitioning line like that. You don't want it just like straight like that, okay? Like that. You want it to be able to do that flicking type of motion like that. And then from there you go this way. You know, I turned this around, but you know, I think you see what I'm talking about like that. So you get that type of thing. Now, mine's not looking good, but I'm gonna, you know, I'll refine it with some, you know, some additional shadow work later on here. And this line right here, this kind of, you know, it kind of meanders, you know, just keep it real organic. So I'm not measuring and it's coming out all crooked, but it looks better if it's kind of that way too. So there's that trail of light like that, or a reflection like that. Sometimes I do a reflection, it's just like a moon, you know what I mean? Like another big old orb, like in the water, I'll stamp the moon twice or something like that. But if you want to do like this thing like this, that's probably more, you know, whatever, more realistic, I don't know, whatever. Usually don't like to use the word realistic when it comes to like scenic stamping, but it's like a movement. If there's like any type of movement in the water, or kind of ripples or anything like that, you don't get this crisp like orb, you know, in the water. Like a big mirrored type of thing is like when the water is like completely still. Okay, so let's get a little bit more lighting kind of in this area here. I know this is like, you wouldn't have that light over here, but we need to get something over here just to, you know, bring in a little bit of lighting in here. Otherwise it's just completely dark, and it, you know, the back part of it is going to be very interesting. Christine, 4¼ by 5½, so half-page piece, pre-folded. Okay, so this is the pre-folded card like this. It looks pretty good. I don't look at these, you know, just in context like this sometimes when I'm working on them, but it's like, oh, okay, that looks pretty cool like that. Like even that as a scene right there, that would be a pretty quick scene to do. And then you have the backside like that. So not very interesting on the back, but maybe those frogs with glowing eyes will kind of, you know, bring that backside to life. Oh, we'll put a bunch of like fireflies back here too. I think that'll do it. It's a bull shark. Oh, that's right. Yeah, those estuaries, or these, that's where the, is the bull shark, is the estuary where the kind of, there's that meeting of like salt water and fresh water. I think in Australia, some of those areas are called billabongs and what is it? Tidal zones, or I can't remember. Something like that. It's where I think a lot of fish go and lay eggs. All right. Let's see here. Is that it with the pastel pencil? I feel like I'm missing something. This is going like really fast. Okay. I'm going to use, I was looking at this scene right here, and I thought, I don't know if that colored pencil matched I don't know, just the applications of the other inks and everything like that, as well as maybe like a more of a this isn't a pastel pencil. I don't know, it's a Conte drawing pencil, but it's probably pastel-ish. But I thought maybe more of a chalkier type of shadow, from this one might be a little bit, oh, kind of a, it might pair with the white pastel pencil and white pigment ink a little bit better. And I think it does here. So, okay, so what I'm doing with this one is I'm adding in, everything you can see is drawn with shadows on here, okay? So I'm just going in here and just kind of reiterating that a little bit. The frog doesn't have a shadow, but I'll anchor him down a little bit more with that. We can darken in, yeah, see this, I'm darkening in some of these items, maybe where they didn't stamp out really dark or whatever, so you can just go in and fill in with this pencil. And it looks like it matches the, the pigment ink impressions on here. It has more of the same, of a similar consistency. Okay, and right on the ridge right here, where this pre-fold is right here, it sticks up, so I can get some of that colored in where the stamp, doesn't match up against it really well when stamping the impression. Now here's in these areas right here with that pastel pencil, I can kind of go in here and add dark back into light a little bit. I don't want to do too much. Like that, so you can kind of see I'm defining those streaks in the water a little bit more by going back in and adding in, a little bit of a darker streak right across. Or if I want to break it up a little bit, like this, you can go in with the black. If you don't like that, then you just go back over it with the white again, and then go back over it with the black. So it's kind of nice that you can oscillate back and forth, or return to another thing on this type of technique. With these pastels on here, you want to give it a spray with a spray fix or a acrylic sealant afterwards. Because it's going to be a little bit soft on here, and a little bit removable. It's kind of a weird scene, isn't it? Okay, let me see here. Let's go and add that moon in there right now. Let's go ahead and add it in so I can kind of look at it and match things up a little bit more. You'd go straight with a glow ink. Okay, the white would make the eyes look weird. Okay. Does it lighten? Okay, yeah, post that scene using that. I'd be kind of curious to see how light it is, that glow-in-the-dark paint over something. Okay, the hardest part of doing this vinyl is separating it from the back, the backing. There we go. It's on there so tight. Okay, so this is, again, this printable vinyl sticker paper is... yeah, it's a sticker, so. If there's anything you want in back of the moon, the time to do that is before applying this here. Preferably like that, okay. All right, let's go in and let's hit it with, I think I'm done with the shading here. I don't know, maybe a little bit more in here. This charcoal pencil doesn't stick too well, I'm finding, to the area that I've applied the pigment ink, okay, to. I'm finding it's a little bit resistant, but maybe that's good because it's going on very lightly and it doesn't go on really fast, so you can kind of develop it. I can get it pretty dark, but it really takes a little bit of a, quite a few layers like that in there. But I think that looks pretty decent. All right. Now these cypress trees, I guess I don't need to, let me add on a little bit of this. Like, I can see my cloud going through that part of the cypress a little bit, just because I stamped it over the top of that white cloud. So let's, yeah, see that? That kind of gets rid of that line of that cloud through the cypress a little bit. There's not too much of one right here, but you can kind of fill in and make it a little bit more opaque, with something like this, or you can do it with a black pen or anything you want, I think. All right. Crisper highlights. This is the thing that really kind of shows up really kind of strongly, because it's something that's very crisp and it's something that's very, very light. So I just got a bunch of these pens here, and I got another whole set of them. Here, let me use, as I'm saying that to myself, I'm thinking, well, why don't you just use some of the lighter applications before going with white? So let's do this. I can use like any of these right here. We have a whole range of every hue, from darker to medium to lighter values like this. These two don't really match with this because it's not as red, but let's use them anyway. It's kind of within the theme though. There needs to be some snakes in the scene, yeah. Oh, that would be cool to have like a snake, yeah, swimming over that water. Or if this figure wasn't in here, if I wasn't doing this kind of this Halloween-ish type of thing, there's that snake from the, oh no, but it's coiled up. I was going to say if it was kind of like slithering, we can have that one kind of like swimming on top of that water. I love seeing like snakes swimming. I always think it's really cool. But that'd be pretty interesting in this scenario right here. All right, now this is violet. Okay, this is a really dark violet. That's not showing up at all. This is almost like as dark or darker than the paper itself. All right. So let's go with this lighter one. This is like a 30% maybe water moccasins. One of the coolest things I saw one time was just this snake at this aquarium store, and there was a snake just sitting on the bottom of the aquarium, this big gigantic aquarium. All right, that's pretty light like that, but it's not as light as white, but we'll add in that white later. So I'm just going to get in a little bit of highlights here and there with this. Maybe these will be the highlights in kind of the darker portion of the card. Just like putting little highlights like that, okay, just like I did with the white on the tombstones, okay. Some of these things like these cypress knees over here, maybe that's just like the right amount of lighting on them, highlighting. for a really dark area. You know, they wouldn't have like brilliant light, you know, shining on them. Okay. So this is a way to go back in, and we're going to add in the white, but it's a way to go back in and add in that crisp element, and it brings your images out a little bit from the background with both value and texture. It's nice and crisp against all these softer kind of applications of all this different media in here. A voodoo princess, and you gotta always have a great, you always have some great ideas, Debbie. Oh yeah, I need a long printable vinyl sticker paper fingernail. I'll just keep like one fingernail for that purpose, like that. Hello, Mimi. Oh, thanks for you know, following the channel, Mimi. For all those years, I was trying to remember how many when I started this. I think my son was in first grade or something like that, who's now in college. Thanks for following the channel. Those early years, none of it was live, of course. Those were back when the early videos were all broken up into like 15-minute segments, and it was because or it might have been shorter. You had to petition. You had to, when you start off a channel, YouTube allows for a certain number of minute uploads. Okay, you can have a certain amounts, and then you petition them and you say, hey, you know, can I have those restrictions lifted? And if they see that you don't have any things like copyright violations, or you know, you're not posting something that you shouldn't be posting, they just review your channel, and then they allow for that longer videos. But it was also my camera that I was using, which was just a little point and shoot camera, but the what do you call it, the digital secure digital card in there, they couldn't record videos for longer than a certain amount. It would have to break it up into smaller segments. So a couple different things. So there's always like part one, part two, part three of, you know, a lot of different cards that were being created. Which maybe is a good thing. I don't know. You know, it's like, although people can always like stop and watch something later. But I was thinking, man, I make some painful videos of that are like super long. All right, now I'm doing these crisp highlights in here, and I'll need to go back in and alter them a little bit. Like some of it looks kind of weird, so I'm going to add in some extra, you know, softer highlights next to it. You know what I mean? Because some of it's just going to look kind of a little bit too crisp or something. Or it's just it's too awkward of a highlight. So I'll just kind of mellow it out. So we add in the soft highlights, go back in with the crisper ones, and you go back in with the softer ones again. And then I still have my, you know, white pigment that I add over the top of all of it too. So there's all that type of thing as well. But thanks for bearing with the channel through especially those earlier years, Mimi. And presently. Yeah, that's for everyone. I was saying, you know, on the pre-recorded, anyone can, you know, you can just log in and check out, check out what I'm talking about and just go right straight to the end and just check out the end result too. But I was thinking, man, for some people that kind of watch the entire video, some of them were like Lord of the Rings, in in length, you know. All right, kind of coming together. Let's look a little spooky every time. All these jagged, kind of sharp, pointy little things like this, you know. I didn't think I was going to add in that white over there, but I think it looks pretty cool, like that. It's kind of looks kind of ominous, I think. This pen right here, this brand new pen is flowing so nicely. Even my old ones flowed pretty good, but it's like the brand new ones really are nice. Ooh, looks like it got real watery. Let me shake this up again here, but it's flowing really beautifully. Happiness is a new pen. I used to say happiness is a new pad, like a ink pad, but these pens are pretty good too. Some of them I used for like 3 years. All right, here comes some eyeball illumination here, which is kind of what you see, when people go like frog hunting. I've seen it on these channels where they go out and they do this frog hunting. They do it at nighttime, so they just kind of like flash the light and they look just for those glowing eyes, and then they spear them. In fact, I was just watching that. I think it was on the Bizarre Foods channel. I was watching that portion of it on YouTube. I think. No, it's probably on YouTube. No, I was thinking maybe it's on some app or something. Might have been on Cinemax or something like that. Okay, so here's some eyeballs like that. I need that glow-in-the-dark pen, Linda. Send that down right now in that Star Trek transporter. All right, so we have our eyeballs like that. For those that just joined in, this is a pre-folded card, so it's like, that's kind of like one scene like that, and here's like the other flipped over scene, and then here's your 2-page spread like that. All right, so we're going to add in these little sparkly little specular light additions right down here, right in over the top of the pigment ink, and then white pastel pencil applications right there. Look how shimmery that is now. So you can see the difference between that. This is all soft textures right down here. Pigment ink, pastel pencil, some of the black charcoal pencil. And then you add in that crisp element like that, and it adds in that nice shimmer into the mix. So I'm adding it right in here. It'd be best if I kind of spray sealed this and then did this, because there's a little bit of a chalkier element like this, but this new acrylic paint pen's really flowing nicely, so it's applying over the top of it really nicely. There's more flow to the pen than there is, this chalkiness going up into my tip here, so I'm not having to kind of constantly scribble it out right here, which happens sometimes on a drier pen. Those ones that I've been using, I've been using them for 3 years, so the flow isn't as fast because there's probably less pressure on it, because there's less there's less paint in here in my other ones, so it might be down to like here or something. So probably the weight of this liquid is kind of forcing some of that the flow to be a little bit more, I don't know, whatever, fluid. All right, so see that right there? Get that coming down like that. Let's get in a few of these little specular lights over here just to get a little bit of extra texture. And then let's get in some of our firefly type of things in here. My technique on fireflies is I add in the larger kind of white dot, and then I kind of diffuse it with a little bit of pigment ink, white pigment ink, and then just to get a little bit of that more greenish glow, I go back over the top of those applications with a little bit of a green paint pen. So I'm going to kind of cluster my fireflies. There's some right here, some right here, here, and then I'm going back up there. And see this area in here of darkness? It's not very interesting, like right in there. Okay, so you add in these little lights like that, and it adds kind of a textural and whimsical type of look to it with these things kind of like flying around here. All right, so here's some right here too. It doesn't look like fireflies right now. Hopefully it does when I apply the pigment ink, but let's see. Snakes are not cool when you're in the water waiting for a boat to pull you up while water skiing. They just want you to pet them, Debbie, you know. They want you to pet them on their tummies. Okay, white pigment ink, and very lightly applied. Glowing little lights like that. I think I might leave some of them just a little dot to like these 2, 3 right there. I'll just leave one just as is, so it looks like it's more distant or something like that. Or just, you know, some variation. Like that. That. We'll leave those 2 other ones just as is right in there. So, you know what I mean? I think if I illuminated them all, it would be like, oh my gosh, it's like, that's like too much. So let's do this right here. See, I think some of them are just like a little dot. And some of them are glowing dots. Go like this. And let's get this one right here. Yeah. We need to frog a tongue going out at one of these right here. All right, let's see. Let's illuminate. See, this is like that lime green. It's not going to look like that over the top of this purple paper and over the top of that pigment ink, I don't think. But this will look pretty good too, because the glow-in-the-dark vinyl paper that I got, it's that greenish glow. There's all these different types of glow-in-the-dark glitters and powders now, and they come in all different types of colors. The vinyl, I think, only comes in that one greenish glow. Like I said, there's like a bluish glow in the glitters and the powders. I think there's purple. I don't know. I have this one pack. I don't know. There must be like a dozen different colors of glow in the dark in there. But this one's just that greenish one. So if I get a little bit of a greenish tinge on this one, that'll be good. It'll match it in terms of the color scheme. These ones don't glow down here, but it'll kind of have a little bit of that tinge of color. Okay, I'm trying to get this green flowing here. I was going to say I might be using my new one. Here we go. There we go. I was going to say I didn't use this one that much. Okay, so I'm just putting a little bit of this dot right in the middle. Now, if I just went in straight with the green on top of that purple, it doesn't show up, I'm finding. So I need that little bit of white in the back of it to create a little bit more opacity, and then you can see this glowing kind of tinge to it. Okay. And I've tried to do like the pigment, I think, before, and I just put that dot right on top. It didn't work really good. So I don't know. For me, the trick is to go white, glow, and then green like that. If you're gonna do the green, I think these look fine, kind of if they're just white too. But I don't know. I'm starting to really like that kind of greenish tinge to the flies. I don't know. Let me try here. I haven't done this for a while. That little green dot, it stands out right now, but sometimes when it dries, it's like, okay, where did the dot go? It kind of disappears a little bit. I think because it keeps soaking into the paper or something. Yeah, it keeps soaking into the paper as it dries. All right, boy, this whole scene kind of became about the flies, I think. All right, let's go back in and add in some extra atmospherics to this. And let's see how that goes. Look at this. This is the paper towel, or not the paper towel, but the cotton ball that I used on here. It's a little bit purple. I guess when I was doing the streaking on there, it was like wiping off some of the color off the paper itself. Okay, 100% cotton ball. Again, with a very kind of, it's not super dry, but a little bit of a drier kind of application. You don't want to put blobs on your scene, okay? And now let's go in and add in some of that atmospheric mist in front of our objects, okay? Our stamped objects. So if you just joined in and haven't seen this before, we had all those clouds and everything in this. A lot of the white that's in here applied before I stamped the images. So we stamped the images over the top of it, but now this is going back in and adding some more of this right over the top of the images. So it kind of envelops the images in that type of cloudy, kind of haze or mist or something like that, which serves a couple different, purposes. I think it adds a lot of depth into the pieces. Having things kind of surrounded by that mist gives them a little bit more of a three-dimensional look or feel, okay, like that. You put that in front of it now, and it looks like the lighting is now kind of wrapping around an image, like so, like that. And this figure down here, is in some of this mist, like so. I stamped these knees a little bit kind of lopsided, so I'm going to obscure that a little bit. I didn't like my impression there, so it's like I cover it up saying, don't look at me. All right. So it's kind of going in front of this cypress tree, going in front of this knee right here a little bit. And Ooh, that's a little bit too much eraser time. It's so dark over there, that little application really kind of stood out a lot stronger. That's a little bit blobby. Let's go back in here with our charcoal pencil, and I'll just kind of reestablish that like that. And repair work done. That's what's nice about this kind of technique here. You can just kind of, if something doesn't turn out, you just kind of cover it up, you know, and you can layer things or whatever. All right. I like that little swatch right in there. It needed to get illuminated in there a little bit more. I don't think I want to put this over the top of those frogs. I think they look kind of funky like that. So let's keep it that way. All right. This is a really fun thing to add in here. So for me, I need to kind of be careful that I overdo things all the time, but I just don't want to like completely overdo it where there's like way too much kind of atmospheric mist in there where it obscures everything, you know? So that's the only thing I'm kind of watching for, is that I just don't completely, you know what I mean? Like I said, go in and overdo it a little bit, you know, with everything, I think, you know, just go like a little bit over kind of the, kind of maybe the ideal application of something. Like to me, that maybe there's a little bit too many fireflies in here, but there's just so much fun to add in there. You know what I mean? So sometimes you just got to add in a little bit more just for the sake of the fun of the process. You know, and you know, I don't know. I don't think it's sacrificing the end result too much, but you know, if you're just having fun doing something, it's like a little ride. You know what I mean? We're thinking about the end result of these cards a lot of times, but you got to think about it like a ride too. You know what I mean? It's like you want the ride to kind of extend a little bit more with the funnest parts of it, then just do it. All right, so there's the front of the card. My Swampophilia. The back of the card like that. I think there's enough of the you know, the frogs down there I think are funky enough with those glowing the eyes like that, to have that enough of a scene. It doesn't have to be like a scene unto itself, you know, with a dominant kind of focal point. Although it'd be kind of cool, I guess, to have something like right in here. But I think if I had that, it might distract from this as a two-page spread like this. So anyway, quarter page card. You can do this as, like I always say, with these quarter page or folded cards like this. I always kind of do this with the intention of this as being the outside. It's a front card that you can see. Here's the back of it that someone might say, oh, it's on the back too. And then they look at it like this, and then they open it up like this. So it's like three scenes in many ways. Or you can make that the interior, and then you can do your greeting or something like this, where it's like a really dramatic opening like that. You know, you can have, you know what I mean? If I left space in here, you can write something in here, and I think that'd be kind of cool too. You know what I mean? But I don't know, different ways to look at it too. And then see if this was like the front of the card too, and you're writing your greeting or something like that, or you can do, you know, something like this on the back. This could be a quote right here. I would have some kind of element in here, maybe, that would relate to the interior. Or if this is the exterior, what you do is you open it up like that, or, you know, they see it like this, they open it up, and you put your ratings. I mean, for me, the obvious thing would be to put a few of these little fireflies. You put them around your word or greeting right in here, or your name, and you put a couple of these little fireflies right in here. some small little element from the scene, or, like a couple cypress knees can be out here. I wouldn't do it too much, but I think something like that would be kind of cool. They call it like sequential aesthetics or something like that, when you do kind of little thematic things like that. And it could be like the introduction of it, if it's on the outside, or if it's on the inside, it's more of the, it's like introduction, body, conclusion as far as like a main scene. And then you can have your, whatever, that after, thing. I forget what you call that. But just little elements like that would be kind of fun. If you have a glow in the dark, it'd be even better. All right. So, anyways, another kind of Halloween, October-ish type of scenario right here. The bats, the moon, and these frogs right down here. It's kind of, you add those into that, that bayou set, and you can get a really different type of feel to it. Look, this right here, if you didn't have that little fisherman in here or something like that, or whatever, it'd really have a different type of feel to it. So it's like whatever you stamp in terms of your kind of main subject matter, it really changes the I don't know, the theme or feel, the whole, you know, context of the scene here. I forgot to go in and add in some extra blending right over there over all my dots. It looked a little bit too harsh, so I just kind of blended it out with the pastel pencil like that. So fun stuff. And again, as you saw on this one, with the opaque media like this, all right, adding that over darkness, you can just go back and you can go back and forth if you need to fix something, or if you apply too much of it or something like that, you can always tweak it. And it's very user friendly that way. You just got to see it that way, though. I mean, like I added too much in there. It was like a big blob of white, and just kind of take it out of there and just, go back to your black or something like that and just take it out of there, and you almost can't even see it. This thing right here is a little crooked, so just add in some pigment ink over the top of it. Or if it was really bad, I can put like a little bush or something, or tree in here in the foreground, and that would do it too. So yeah. The left side of the card says Bud Wiener. Why would it correct, that to Wiener, though? You wrote that in there, Debbie. Your subconscious did it. Budweiser, though, huh? Oh, yeah. Wasn't that, you're talking about the commercial? Hello, Caroline. Aren't those frogs in there fun? I want to do these frogs in here sometime around I'm going to put a person in here that's like this big. So the frogs would be like gigantic. But those frogs crack me up, though. When I did that, I was looking for, I said, I always want some frogs. I was thinking about I still need it. I still need this like crocodile in here with just its eyes sticking out. But as I was doing that, I was looking at some different imagery, and I thought, oh, frogs would be good because we can use that in all these different lake scenes anywhere. And you can turn the like the Lakeside Cove or any of these, images that have been out there for 20, 30 years. We can turn those into kind of, what I mean, funky kind of, Halloween types of scenes just by the addition of these creatures in there like that. Or you can put those, like shark fins or something like that circling around, somebody in a boat, or those paddle boarders or anything like that. So we can kind of tweak things just with the use of these creatures like that. So I thought it was pretty funny. The moon outside is different. Yeah, so the moon right here, Caroline, did we tell you this was the glow-in-the-dark vinyl right here? So we flip off the lights in here, and that moon will be nice and glowy in here. And we were talking about the Linda's, who's on here. Linda has a glow-in-the-dark paint pen, Maybe I'll get one of those paint pens and I'll add a dot of that glow-in-the-dark paint pen into my, fireflies down here. So that would be a little bit an extra type of glow-in-the-dark feature, to make this light reactive and, type of thing. I don't know if I'd send like a card like this to like a little kid or something like that, but certainly like a moon like that and a scene with a bunch of fireflies in it, or and some pumpkins and stuff like that would be pretty cool. Although my son would have loved this scene. He was all into that kind of ghoulish imagery, and stuff like that when he was like 1, or 2 or something like that. But if it's glow in the dark, all the more fun. Hello, Jeannie. Yeah, that's what I was saying too. Yeah, go if you just joined in at some point in the chat, go and read Linda's Thanksgiving menu up there. I was going to say we're all going to Linda's house next year for it's a Canadian Thanksgiving. So, but she put that post up there on her earlier chat list, complete with a menu for next year and her contact address. And it's just whoever wants to go, just show up there at the door. I'm joking, folks. All right. So anyways, yeah. So this is just your purple cardstock. So any type of colored cardstock, a little bit of a darker one probably for this type of scenario so that the white shows up a little bit more, but something a little bit darker than 50%, I think. And I think you can do it in any kind of color scheme. And I think it would become, it would come out pretty funky looking, even like a crimson red. Can you imagine this one in red? I mean, that would be pretty interesting too. So I think there's all kinds of other things. And a lot of you have like all kinds of other types of cardstocks that you have that maybe, if you haven't done it before, it might give you kind of another potential usage for them. Like I said, I would go with something a little bit darker, 50% and up. I've tried this type of thing on black, and I think it was just too dark, because I'd add in the white or something like that. I didn't like it as much because I didn't get really, really super dark impression. I had to use so much white pigment ink in the background because these black impressions show up a little bit against just the straight purple paper, okay? But black on black, doesn't show up at all. So I had to use so much white pigment ink in the background. And then when I stamp over the white pigment ink with the black, it's not 100% black, in terms of the impressions. So they were always a little bit grayish. I mean, I haven't done that too many times, maybe a couple times. So I'd go with like something a little bit, like 90%, 50 to 90% in terms of darkness. So you can use, gray papers as well, but these colored ones are really fun to use too. So we've used the blue and the purple here, but like I said, like a red would be pretty interesting, I think. So green, I don't know, maybe the green with this greenish glow in the dark moon or something like that might be interesting. It would kind of keep it all in theme. I don't know how kind of Halloweenish it would look. Maybe, but I think it'd be fun for a pretty, fun exercise. Doesn't have to be a Halloween scene either, but these are pretty fun for that. And they're really fast to do because you're just using black and white for the most part. You're not having to color all these different colors on there. So anyway, yeah, we got that large moon in there for you on this one, Cynthia. This last one, we didn't have quite the space for it, so we went with the smaller one. So it was time for the big here. And that big one, like I said, it filled up so much space in there that, like I said, it makes for a pretty quick, at least composition in here. Because, there's not too many things that, you can fit around it. All right, folks. Hope you had a great weekend and hope you have a great, this next week. we'll be trying to come on here, and I want to stamp out some more of these October kind of Halloweenish types of scenes before the season's over, because there's just so much fun to do. I love adding these in here and seeing these new, things and elements in the scenes, a lot of similar scenes that I've done before, like many times, but you add in whatever, a bug or a zombie into it, and it really changes the entire spirit of it. So fun to see. Oh, I still want to do, I want to try something out, like a Halloween, I don't know, like a holographic too. And, you know, the holographics are so kind of festive-y looking and light, though. I haven't figured out kind of a scenario for it yet, but we'll have to play around a little bit. Let's see. Yeah, so yeah, I remember that Super Bowl commercial, I think now. By the way, Debbie. Yeah. Let's see. Linda had her rehearsal. Yeah, she had a rehearsal one. You need to cook. Yeah, there's going to be like 30 of us at the next one, next year's Linda. You might not have as many leftovers, though. That's the problem. But get that. You got those recipes down for like, individual family or something like that. You need to tweak it to like banquet setting, banquet numbers. All right, folks. All right, time to go eat dinner here. Linda had me starving from like the get-go on this one. All right, good night, everyone.